too, by the way. So
I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that out. I don't know how to do that, but at least I got the Facebook. So,
there
hi.
we go. So it's going live. Just laughing because we're over here talking about like the hocus pocus witches, and we have my friend Marilyn, or our friend Marilyn's here with me in Florida, and we have no idea exactly what we're going to talk about today. But I do know this: there is a lot of shit horsemanship out there these days. Because one of the things Danielle and I started to do was like, hey, you know what? There's some people out there that are doing things with their horses that they may not even know that they're pulling on their face or they're whatever. And so, let's go see if maybe there's some people we could help or expose some people that are intentionally doing harmful things to these beautiful animals. And so we kind of went down that rabbit hole, and I just like, what do they call it? Doom scrolling now. I just was like, oh my gosh. And once you see and learn and understand a lot of the concepts that Daniela and myself and people that are going down, have taken the blue pill and gone down the path of horsemanship for, like my friend, our friend Marilyn is here. And we've decided that we're going to go straight up. We're going to do straight up horsemanship this weekend. Like, that's what we're going to do. Like, so like when we do these retreats, when Daniela and I host people at our place and we have people on site working with the animals, sometimes it's life coaching. Sometimes it's about business or relationships, because horses really can teach you just about anything, because it's about life. So, but we're going to actually tap into technique, which I'm not a technician. Danielle is not a technician. We are philosophers. We are diagnosticians, if you will. So we'll help you understand. We'll help you how to think, not what to think. But you do need tools and techniques. So Marilyn's at a really good place. She's spending the weekend with me here, and she spends some time at Daniela's place as well, learning from two really, look at her, smart girl, kind of hanging out with the two of us. But we're going to go teach technique, some skills, because she's at that place where she's like, okay, I understand the ideology. I get the philosophy. Now I need to know like a little bit of how, right? So, but how's the last piece? So that's what we're going to work on this weekend. And we again, when you come here, it is kind of like this call today. Who knows what's going to come out, because you get in such a spot, you plant a seed, you don't know what's going to grow unless there's a label.
Well, why don't we is Marilyn up for a little Q&A, since she has experienced different levels and she's right there, and we haven't I mean, she could say no, but
yeah. So you want to be on camera, or yeah, come on, girl, get over here. Pull that chair here. So Marilyn's going to join us today if you're watching the replay. And this is actually really great to get a third party perspective, because what really happened for me when I started going down this rabbit hole of it's transforming my life, and I knew it was working for me. It took me probably at least 100 or so people going through my program before I started to believe that this actually could help other people. I'm like, but because it's hard to make that association that, well, it helped me, but is it really going to be okay? Is it really going to help other people? And Daniela, I'm sure you've experienced something similar. So Marilyn, we appreciate you taking a little time out of your day to, be a part of this and help us share with people that it ain't just about you. It can help.
And I think it's great because Marilyn's been here. She's been there numerous times now. She is what we like to call our ideal client, because she values what we're doing and she wants more all the time. And we love her for that, because she gets it, right? She's willing to do the work. She wants to be better. She wants to be with these animals. She wants to like experience all of the goodness. And so I would be curious to because we talked about this the other day, Jen, like things we would be asking for the book, the chapters, right? But
yes,
we could touch on that later. But but I want to just I would love to hear from Marilyn something that she has learned, whether it's been here or there with one of our horses, that she has carried into her daily life that's really helped her. Like just one thing. I'm sure there's more than one, but I would love to hear that from her, because she's a beautiful, beautiful I don't want to say example, but product she's a beautiful woman that has beautiful insights. So let's hear her speak now.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you talk about which horse you're having the experience with, we'll give a little background on that too, so people can understand, like, why this particular horse had this level of impact. So
I would start with Bella, since she was my first experience. Coming into this, I thought I had confidence, and working with her, I realized I didn't have as much confidence, and that's something I really needed to work on and build on. And also learning how to read people and patience, a little more compassion, and just take things a little bit slower. With Daniela's horse, Rose,
same persona, by the way. So what she's talking about, Bella. Bella is like me. It's very, never ask me an open-ended question unless you have a bottle of wine and a lot of time. Like, I'll be if I get to be the only one talking. So, but I know a lot of people like really extroverted, very friendly, gregarious. Like, a lot of times, like I said, I'm not sure if this can help other people, even though it helped me, because we tend to question ourselves. And focus can be a little bit of a challenge unless you really get clear on your mission. A focused Bella is unstoppable, right? So the Bella persona, and so it's interesting that this is coming up because the Bella persona is who she worked with first, and now at Daniela's farm, Rose is also the Bella.
And with Rose, I found my challenge with her, it's more on a sensitivity level. Working with her, it's like she didn't require as much, I would say, like guidance or much hands-on. Like, she kind of understood without get too much hands-on, being touched too harshly or anything like that. She just like the lightest touch and she'll understand what you wanted from her, and I found her to be a little bit more challenging than Bella, but I enjoyed my experience with her.
The beautiful thing about Rose is that you can't mess up with her because she will tell you right away.
She does.
She tells you right away if you're off the bubble. And Bella gives you a little bit more grace, but not much.
No.
And all the way down to like Trace, my other horse, who's the opposite personality type. So if you are a Bella, and you're like, a lot of real estate agents are Bellas. So if you're watching and you're a real estate agent, you're probably a Bella. Just sorry, it's the truth. And or if you're in network marketing, a lot of times Bellas get attracted to that. We have what's called shiny penny syndrome, and so you look at that, the opposite of that. I say opposites attract, whatever. But we balance each other, and I bring the playfulness out in Trace, and Trace grounds me and allows my crazy to be okay. And ladies, if you're a Bella, if you're that kind of that, I'm not sure if I'm okay, you're okay, but I'm not okay kind of, thing, or you tend to be a pleaser, getting in next to a Trace that wants to not just tolerate your crazy. If you're in a relationship where your man is tolerating your crazy, you got a big problem. You want him to like gleefully and effusively celebrate your crazy. And then when that's the case, you got to make sure that your crazy is the good crazy. Right. So, and that's, the kind of with, we went pink fur on the handcuffs.
I'm still
regular handcuffs.
I'm still mulling over the word, and effusively. What was that word?
Are we back to the language lesson? Funnily and effusively.
Effusively. Yes. I learned all my 20-point words from words.
All the words I know I learned from Jen. Oh my gosh.
I'll just use it wrong though in a sentence.
You'll use it wrongly.
Funnily, I'll use it wrongly.
You'll probably use it wrongly.
But this is all right. So I love that. I love what Marilyn said, because those are huge lessons. Like recognizing that your confidence isn't, that's something I learned from Scotty too. Like, I thought I was confident until I got in there and he was like, no, you're not.
Let me show you what confidence looks like.
Right. And
let me show you what it looks like. It looks a little like this.
Yeah. So I love that. And I love too the beautiful aspect of working with the same persona in two different horses and still getting two different experiences. Yeah. That's really cool. That's so cool.
And if you're dealing with a rose, no matter what their persona is, because I have a good friend of mine, she's a maverick, which is an introvert. He's more introverted. He's more of a feeler, nurturer, that kind of thing. And she's a maverick, and she's a highly sensitive person. And so when you engage with somebody that's as sensitive as Rose is, and then you put it into a persona that's an introvert, that highly sensitive, and Marilyn, this might hit home for you, that highly sensitive can show up in your body and in dis-ease, in like a mass on your spleen, or really nasty migraine headaches, or, a tension in your body, right? And so when you think about the being around these animals, and no matter what, even if it's Scotty, there's a sensitivity there. It just shows up differently. And Bella's Bella, and the Bella personas, and in Rose at Artemis Hill, you have that. It's obvious. It's right there. They're like, wah, because they're extroverted, introverted on that same side of the hemisphere. They go inside themselves, and they blame themselves, and they shame themselves, and they don't express it. And so it shows up in a negative way internally for themselves. Traces, they don't have that internalization of the negative, but they have, they take on the role of overthinking things, or waiting too long to take action on things, right? Or over analyzing things. And then the Dantes, man, they're just freaking Hummers driving down the middle of the fucking highway, like Mad Max, which is great until you realize that you don't really want to be in a Mad Max movie.
Which is great until you realize he's breaking fence lines and
yeah, and that's the thing about Dantes, is that there's two kinds of Dantes. There are the ones that are building the world and changing it, like Tony Robbins and Steve Jobs. And then there's ones that blow it up, like Osama bin Laden and Hitler. Actually Hitler was a trace, but that those places where you go, like, there's two sides to every coin when it comes to the personas. And being able to, and what I thought was really interesting about what Marilyn said about Rose, who is a Bella persona, she said, well, I didn't need to put, as much pressure, but actually that's more responsibility than than you can possibly imagine, to sit, because it's a scalpel. It's like, can you touch the hair on the back of your arm, especially if you're not Greek, and you touch the hair on the back of your arm and feel it,
And it could sometimes feel like you're walking on eggshells with
exactly,
right? Because you're like, okay, how much? And so I know when I work with her, I've learned to just move so slow, because before I even need to, if I'm doing something that maybe a wave, I might not even get to this before I might just be lifting my shoulder, and she's like, what? Who's waving at me?
Yeah. And so here, and this is the tricky piece, because they call those high bob horses. A high bob horse is when you're on your horse and go, hi, Bob, and the horse bucks you off.
So funny.
So you think, you didn't even laugh at my Greek joke either. Damn, I should have said like Robin Williams or somebody with a hairy arm. Anyway, so so you think about
yeah. Get serious now, will you? You're always joking around, Jen.
Character. Don't break character. So red leather, yellow leather. So anyway, when you think about that, you got to be able to prepare her this much for this little. She needs to be able to have a tarp throw over her back. And, everybody, the joke is anybody can shoot a gun off a horse once. You don't want that. You want to be able to have them. I mean, Trace has done mounted shooting. He's been in parades. Look at how like nothing can mess with Tuesday. She's been on elevators. She's been on the back of those lift trucks, those box trucks with lift. She's like, and she's riding it up the thing like doo doo doo. She's done everything. She climbed stairs. She's been at the West Palm Beach Convention Center at a Tony Robbins event, for God's sakes. I mean, this little horse, she's like meh. So you want to get Rose to that place. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by acknowledging that she is highly sensitive, and then allowing her to be able to adapt and live in the world of the 3D. Because here's what I'm going to say about highly sensitive people. And this may be a very unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you're highly sensitive, great. Either go to northern Montana and live on your 20,000 acre ranch, or get the fuck used to the world of the 3D because you live here. And I have two friends. One has managed it and one has not. And it's challenging to be around the one that hasn't, because it is like walking on eggshells. And you can't own those people's boundaries because they're not expressing them to you. A lot of times when people are sensitive like that, they have victimized themselves into feeling these feelings of people, overwhelm, or people crossing their boundaries, because they haven't given themselves or had the confidence in themselves to give you the permission to express it, to express it in the first place. And when that happens and you can't express a boundary, like for instance, this is kind of you could see how this could get, if there's a lot of people in this room, it could get very loud. Mm-hmm. And there was a woman in here and she was like, hey guys, can we either, I'd like to stay involved in this conversation, but can we either take it down or take it outside? And anybody that wanted her in the room would say, who's going to say no to that? Right? What a beautiful way. But when you are highly sensitive and you can't go to that space and have the confidence to express that boundary, then you're just going to set yourself up to have your boundaries crossed and put yourself in a place that makes you even more sensitive because your shit's getting stomped on all the time. I think highly sensitive people is bullshit. I think highly sensitive people are just not boundaried. You can be highly sensitive and be boundaried and manage it yourself. And I think that's really where Rose needs to go. And that's really why, and I'm doing the same thing with Bella, right? Yeah. I've had Bella for 8 years now, since 2015, 8 years. Yeah. Going on 9 years. And I'm restarting her as if I just got her. And I'm going to take that time to help her be responsive instead of sensitive.
Nice.
Right? To be confident in her sensitivity and be okay with it and still be in a beautiful state no matter what her environment. Because all the highly sensitive people are saying is that I don't know how to manage triggers. Another term for it.
And honestly, I think that's, for a lot of people, sensitive or not too. Take the sensitivity piece out, because some people who are not sensitive at all and aren't managing their triggers or their boundaries could also be having issues, right? Whether it's getting into arguments with people all the time, or, being nasty or mean, or I don't know, but I feel like there's definitely that aspect. With the bottom line is boundaries is huge, and being able to express yourself from a place of just being honest and kind about it, because you don't have to be a jerk to express a boundary, right? You can.
The way she said that was so elegant. It was beautiful. She said she expressed what she wanted. She expressed what she needed. And then she detached from the result, because she could have very easily, like I said, it was getting kind of louder in the room, which is fine. That there's multiple people, it was a great conversation, but she could have left the room too, So and if everybody had said, no, screw you, cracker, get out of here, she could have, then she had a choice to make, does she want to stay and try and absorb the content of the information, or was her need to be in a quiet space more important? Either way, she wins. Either way, she wins, because she's going to get what her needs met in a healthy way, right? She could have gone in the other room and listened to the conversation too. There's a lot of options. There's always more than two. But it was really beautiful the way she expressed it. And the more you can express your boundaries in that way, from a place of compassion and congruency and alignment with your values, the more people are going to want to, in divine reciprocity, respect them and honor them. And you're like, another perfect example. I had a woman here. She had her dogs here, and her dog had some issues that were unacceptable to me in my house. And I expressed that to her and she like lost it. And I'm thinking to myself, could I have expressed that differently? Yes. And
Mm.
I'm not going to own somebody else's lack of boundaries. You know, it's just not okay. That's it. And that's the end of the conversation. I'm not
And
going to have a 5-hour conversation about how my boundary. It's just not going to happen.
and just even being able to have the conversation too, though, like it's I think so often shy away from even just having the conversation, right? There's a lot of fear around what is going to happen, or maybe they won't talk to me anymore, or maybe, they won't like me, or, there's a lot of fear around having these difficult conversations too. And I think that's a big piece of it. And that's a beautiful part of working with the horses too, that starts to really evolve it within all of us, is because that confidence that Marilyn was talking about, it's not just confidence in being in an arena with a 1,500-pound animal. It's confidence in being able to actually have a conversation without fear of what others may or may not say or do, or what the result might become. It's just being like, okay, this is what I need. And if you have a problem with it, that's fine. We can figure it out. It's not the end of the world. We can
Right.
talk about it, right? And if it does turn into a let's not be friends anymore, then maybe that's what needs to happen. Like, I think there's just too much fear around people being able
Absolutely.
to do this. And
Who here has stayed in a relationship longer than they should have? If you are not raising your hand right now, you're either too young to raise your hand.
mm,
Everybody has. We've all stayed a little too long with that hook of hope.
and it doesn't have to be relationships. It could be jobs. Cause I've stayed at jobs, not relationships, but I've stayed in jobs for too long that I absolutely hated. So, I mean,
Mhm.
it's just, it, yeah, and man, what an improvement. After I started working with Scotty, holy moly, how much easier it was to start saying no, or I'm not okay with that, or this is what it's got to be, right? Because once you could do that with the horse, and I'll tell you, he is a tough one, Scotty.
Tell me about it. When I
He,
first started working with him, with you, all I could think of, and I tried because, and you and I didn't know each other real, like we were just kind of starting to get acquainted at the summer, and I had met your brother, and I saw you work with Scotty, and I'm like, dude, every single argument you're having with Scotty, you're having with your brother. I mean, like it's the freaking same exact conversation. Will you just please go whack your brother with the stick like you need to do with your horse? I mean, obviously, I'm kidding about the whacking, but you know what I mean. It's like, will you please just like lay down the law for 1 second, and just like, you know, www.zipit.com, right?
and that's a tough personality, because as much as I love my brother tremendously, he is someone that will continue to push the limit. He will push the limit, and not out of a malicious intent, or that's just how his brain works. Like, when
Yes.
you say no, the question is, well, but why no? And
Right.
what do you mean no? And are you
Yes.
sure it's no? And but what does no even mean? And how do you even spell no? Like, I mean, it'll just
You even no.
Right. You get my point. I think you get my point, right?
What's funny about this though is like, he's actually, what he's asking you is, are you qualified to give me advice? Are you trustworthy? Who
Mm.
are you as an individual what are you bringing to the table that I should listen to you? You prove to me, and that's that's all horses want. They want you to prove to them that you are worthy of being their leader. How they express that to you depends on their personality, on their persona, and all of the things that we teach in our courses. That's it. If are they a match or a mismatch? Or what's the age of the soul? What's their love language? How do they like to be touched? Well, how big is their bubble? And reading their body language and staying absolutely present in the moment. Absolutely present. When I had a client come out, and she was not Frankie. He paid you to say that, Joe. I'm sorry, I ain't buying it. I love and Frank is great. And the cool thing that was really interesting when I spent the summer with Daniela in at her place is he and I would feed the horses in the mornings a lot of times together, and he would be like, and I would say something, and then that's it. And then I had to like, my dissertation would need to come like, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, doesn't that affect their feet? And what, and I would say anything. And I'm like, but it really, and I really appreciate that, because here's the thing about that, twofold. Number one, it made me really stand in my truth. It makes you stand in your fucking truth and have that certainty about yourself. And you just sit there, keep them coming, like asteroids. You're shooting them all down, all of these objections. Well, what about this? And what about that? What about this? Like a little kid asking, why zebras have stripes, And well, where does pigment come from? And why is the skin black in there? Is a zebra white with black stripes or black with white stripes? Oh my God, But when you can get past that, and you can finally wear him out to his last question, where he's like,
okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
And then that's it.
And that's it. And then he's a lot of fun. And
Yes.
because my brother
comes out, and that's exactly right. And the cool thing is that with my horse Trace, he's not as much of a mismatcher as Scotty is, but he'll sit there and he'll be like, sure, this sounds awesome. Let me see the white pages. Let me see the details. Right. And so when I would go, well, but sometimes you can get a Trace just by being, and here's that word again, word of the day, effusive. Effusive. Here's the definition: expressing feelings of gratitude, pleasure, or approval in an unrestrained or heartfelt manner.
How do you spell that?
EFFUSIVE. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I'm not making this stuff up. See,
I didn't think you were. I just needed to hear. I'm just a simple farm girl. Don't.
Oh my God. You are your brother's sister. Where did the letter E come from? How do you spell no?
And you know what's funny about that? That the part of me that has that similarity, that's the conditioning we had growing up. Because
exactly.
That is from our parents who that's very much my father but my mother too. A lot of questioning, which is a good thing. We should always be questioning. It's good to question, So it's definitely there's a line, right, where it's like, okay, sometimes playing the devil's advocate can be a little bit annoying, and I don't do it as much as I used to.
I have 27 years experience and a PhD from God. What else do you want? And my father is a Trace. And it would be like, anytime I would want to borrow the car or drive, go out and, cruising. Remember cruising? Like when that was bougie. We're like, Taco Bell to Walmart, sit in the lawn furniture at Walmart. Ho, ho, ho. So that's what we
did. Lake of the Ozarks. No? Okay.
So I'm not actually from Lake of the Ozarks.
No shit. I had no clue. Sorry, folks. Just a little inside joke going on there.
Oh my God. So we go back, like, we want to borrow the car, go out. Like Dad would be like, well, where are you going? Who are you going with? How much gas is in the car? How much money do you have? When are you going to be back? How much, what's the millimeters of depth of tire radius left on the fucking tire? When's I had to basically write like a master's thesis anytime I wanted to do something. And I'm like, this is just effing exhausting. And so I would just go ask Mom, or I'd sneak out and say, yeah. So like, I'm not going, or I would just finally I would just stay at home. Or no, I snuck out. I didn't ever stay at home. Who's kidding? Who am I kidding? But thanks, hi, Mom. So, but that's and here's the key piece. As a leader and as a prey animal, the one who is moves the other one, who influence who it takes that leadership role. Right. And if I convince my dad that I get to go out, holy cow, I was like, yes, it was like such a win for me. Like you said, these guys can be a little challenging, especially if they're mismatchers. But when that play comes out, there's something unbelievable about it. They turn into unicorns. Mm-hmm. And there's something magic about the magician that's with of the archetype. If you guys are familiar with Carl Jung and archetypes, he's the magician. Trace is the magician, and it's incredible to watch when the wizard's at work. It's and to get that, you have to go through the dungeon, fight the dragon, and rescue the wizard. I know it's supposed to be the princess, but this is my story, so shut up.
Well,
So
that's good stuff. I think what we may start doing, like we were saying next time, is, critiquing some videos so people can see even more about these little nuances, these little tiny, subtle, nonverbal cues that you may or may not ever notice. But once you start getting real good at noticing, and when you're having these conversations with these horses, that's when it becomes really, really, really impactful, because you get deep. You can go real deep with it.
that's blue pill, baby. That's blue pill. And I say that all the time. I'm like, do you want to be good with horses? There's a lot of good people. And I sent you, I'm not going to say his name because he's very famous and whatever. I'm not going to go down that road. But I sent you a video of someone this morning, and he claims to be a horseman. And in some aspects he is, and I'm not taking away from any of the good he's doing, because he's doing really good things with horses, but he's not a horseman. He's just really good with horses. He's in, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being really good with horses. But what I take issue with, and what I inspire other people to consider when they do to go down this journey, is being acknowledge which pill you're taking. Do you want to be here, or do you want to be here? And what I'm going to say about this woman sitting next to me is that, to the level of her capability, she has taken the blue pill. She's here. She's at your place. She's taking lessons. She's volunteering at horse rescue. She's starting to learn the groundwork, the liberty, to whatever degree. It doesn't matter that you go and be a world-class master, but to study it at this level, to say, I want to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I want to do it from the perspective of the horse, and put the horse first, always. That's the journey. And I wanted, you can take the word horse out and say, right now, I'm going to be real specific, your intimate partner. You single ladies, or you ladies that are struggling in your marriage, and even you fellas out there, if anybody's watching, I've got about 80% women that watch our stuff, follow us. Thank you, ladies, for very much. That's the key piece. Are you putting the person in your relationship first? Are you putting their needs first? And who do you need to be the person to attract the right person, right?
That's right. Because with the right person, when you're doing that, they just continue to do the same. And it's an easy ebb and flow. And there's no what's the word? Pettiness around it. There's no tabs, and there's no resistance. It's just a natural, beautiful interaction. And so, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But I think that it's important too, that, and I say this all the time, and the masterminds that I run, we talk about something called the relationship labyrinth. I mean, I ask the question, in a relationship, who goes first? You or the other person? Who needs to take the action first? And I'm just giving you a visual hint. If you're watching, if you're listening, then I'm pointing at myself. It's you. You go first. Even if it's the barista at Starbucks, or, somebody that you're just an acquaintance with, you always go first to the level of your relationship. And if it's your intimate partner, you go first 100% of the time, right? And you have the relationship you'll want when you do that. And you'll attract the right person, because you attract who you are, not what you desire.
You sure about that?
Absolutely.
You attract who you are, not what you desire.
Yes. Yeah. Think about it. It took me a long time to realize that, because my last relationship was with a complete narcissist. But and I say that, like, knowing with the full knowledge that less than 2% of people that have narcissistic tendencies are actual clinical narcissists. And I would say, yeah, I think every single blood cell in this human being is got a big N on it. So he's definitely a narcissist, not narcissistic, a narcissist. And I realized it took me years after my relationship ended with this man to realize that I was the ultimate victim. I was a victim. Every single blood cell in my body had a big V on it. No, not that V, the victim V. So it was, and you attract, opposites attract, but you attract who you are. And if you're a victim, you're going to attract a narcissist. Why don't I keep getting in the same relationships with the same type of guy? And he always is doing this and he's always doing that. It's you. It's not the guy. It's you. And I'm not saying that to shame you or guilt you or shame on you for any of that. There's none of that. It's just fact. It's universal law. You can't argue it. And so when you
can, if you're not willing to see it and accept it, you can absolutely argue it. And that's a tough thing to say as well as to swallow for some people. So
sure.
I think
it's a different kind of blue pill.
That's right. And I think the easier way to kind of continue on that discussion is to just say that if you are feeling certain things and you are attracting the wrong people, don't worry about them. Start focusing on you and love yourself and heal yourself and just date yourself until you can get to a point where you're so confident in who you are that when those old pattern type of men come in, you're like, I'm not okay with this anymore.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. 100%. And those narcissists won't see. Do you think my ex, I almost said his name. Do you think my ex would even take 2 looks at me now, except to oogle me and then keep moving on, knowing I was way out of his league? There's not a doubt in my mind. And I have a great example of this. I mean, obvious. I was at Tony Robbins. I was at Date with Destiny, and Tony Robbins did an intervention with me at that event. And the day before, there was a guy that was really pursuing me, took me to dinner, and I'm over here like a little wounded gazelle because I'd just gotten divorced and I was looking for the next Mr. Jen because I was like, I had no money and my ex-husband was doing things I didn't like and and I was really in like looking around for I felt like I'd had a limb removed and I was looking to replace it and bleeding out. And I guess what, I'm chumming up the waters over there for these, narcissistic predator types because I look like a victim. And so, I mean, I looked like $1 million. Like, oof, I had my body I was in good physical shape and I wore like really nice clothes and my hair was perfect and my makeup looked good. And so I'm walking around, I'm strutting around or trying to, but I at the end of that event, the next day after Tony did his intervention with me, that guy that had been pursuing me so hard walked right by me, looked me right in the eyes, and then kept on walking. And I don't care what his thought process was, whether or not, and he didn't even see me. Like the vibration wasn't even there. And then throughout that event, I had multiple men come up to me and say, I saw you. I've seen you at other events. And one guy said to me, swear to God, he's standing in line at Starbucks. And dude, I should have just junk punched him. I swear to God. He said to me, I saw you at another Tony Robbins event. And I got to tell you, until after Tony did that intervention with you, yeah, I would have wanted to fuck you, but I wouldn't have wanted to date you. And I was like, he said that to my face. And I mean, at these events, crazy shit happens. So I took it with a grain of salt, but I was like, dude, I filter, and then he came up like later in the event. He goes, then he went in on the guys, he came up later in the event and said, hey man, I got to apologize for what I said to you. And he bought me a coffee and he's like, I got to apologize. That was really shitty. And I was like, Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Man.
and yeah, there's so many things that happened during that experience that really made me understand that it's, now fast forward 10 years later and have to go through it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You got to go through it. Rebuilding myself into this person that is that, has that childlike playfulness but is boundaried. It does adult 101 but is also playful and has that innocence still inside her. Because the reason why, you turn your 40-year-old wife in for your 2 20-year-olds, which from, remember that in the 80s, stupid joke. misogynistic piece of shit. So when that happened, it's like the reason is not because you're getting older. It's because you're getting jaded. You don't have that beautiful innocence about you as much anymore. And I'm not saying this about you specifically. I'm saying that it happens like just culturally, as we get older, women get after kids, school, band practice, soccer, cook dinner, fry the bacon, buy the pan, do the bills. I mean, we're expected to do so much. And as we get older, that starts to take its toll. And well, of course, a young, innocent, carefree, I'm a YouTuber in Switzerland with my blonde braids, playing the violin, making millions of dollars a year, looks amazing. Right. And we're over here just going, can't you just change the diaper once in a while? Of course, because we're tired, guys, fellas, I get it that you're confused. I get it. You guys are so freaking confused. And ladies, we're confusing them. No wonder.
Yeah, this is a conversation that like requires another hour and a half of discussing, because we could go down a serious rabbit hole around this. And maybe that's something we table for the next chat, because you're tapping into some serious stuff there that I think, I have a lot of opinions around, and we can go back and forth for a long time. And
great discussion
right now.
Well, and it's really, you're so funny. Well, and it's really just a testament to the ideology that, yes, adult 101, please, but come play with our horses, guys. And bring out, there's this little meme out there, and she's like this little girl, and she's in the rain, and she's got her mouth open like a wide mouth frog. She's like, a big smile on her face. And it's like, she's in there, these horses help bring it out. These horses help you, give you yourself the confidence to express your boundaries. So you don't have to do all of those things and be everything to everyone, but you can be true to yourself and tap into that playful side, that creative side, that carefree side that kind of tends to die, especially if you are in corporate or very successful professionally, because we're taught to be men in that world. Like, just think about that as you go into your next relationship. And yes, we will talk about this next time, because fellas, I'm apologizing to you. Just as did you watch that John Wineland thing I sent to you?
No, I didn't.
So it's at the end. He says something really beautiful. John Wineland is an incredible example of an alpha male, and does some really great seminars and workshops around masculinity. And he's giving us I'll put the link in the comments, because it's really beautiful. And he's talking about what men want. Like, and he goes in there and he goes in deep, and he says at the end, he goes, and ladies, we're sorry. We are sorry for the patriarchy, really, and apologizing, and then he goes, but now give us a chance. Give us a chance. And so you have 3 single ladies sitting here in this room, looking and doing the work and going, we're ready, fellas. We're ready to give you a chance. But then at the same time, I'm sorry. Please give us a chance too.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's really tough for me to say in a public forum. I mean, that's really, it's not an easy thing to be that vulnerable. But when you are, guess what shows up? Other people, you giving other people permission to do the same, to kind of generically quote Marianne Williamson. And when you come out here, these horses, you have to prove yourself to them, but every day you have a chance. So come here and spend some time. Marilyn's here with me till Tuesday, and she spends or Monday, and she spends time at Daniela's place up in New York. So we both have idyllic facilities. Like, her place up in New York is absolutely stunning, just outside the city. And I'm right here smack dab in Paradise in West Palm Beach. So either way you go, it's a no-lose situation. Daniela has a really beautiful retreat coming up in January. There's going to be all kinds of cool things, breath work and sound healing, and a lot of other different modalities, offering some cool experiences. And then I'm doing my weekend retreat starting in my January sold out, but I have dates opening up throughout the year. And today I'm doing a flash sale for $500 down. That holds your spot, and you can pay later, or you can pay in full and get $500 off. Nailed it. So
I finally understood it.
So I was trying to describe it to Daniela yesterday as I was putting it together, and I was like, And I could not, I just kept saying the word 500 and it wasn't coming out right. I was definitely having a blonde moment, but that's what we're up to. Daniela's doing a cool a contest on her Instagram account, and we're doing good work here, guys. If you want to just even support the cause, Daniela's passion is around suicide prevention, which I'm also passionate about. We both lost our brothers to they took their own lives, and that speaks very near and dear to her heart, especially, and mine as well. And that's her focus. Mine is women in crisis and foster kids, women and kids, adult kids, like youth. I just want to be clear about that right away. Don't bring your 7-year-old. I don't want them. No, just kidding. I'm just added 0 to the price. Just kidding. 7-year-old.
Oh my God. The funny thing about that is you're so good with those kids.
Thanks. And I am good. You're right. I thank you for that. I acknowledge that I kind of turn into like this little, like I am kind of like I am today. And the cool thing is that I talk to kids like this. I mean, I don't use all the F-bombs and stuff, but I talk to kids like this, like, because they are just, adults in their past life at the moment.
And it's effusive for them.
Effusive. Oh my God. I'm going to effusive you.
Effusive.
And then what she said, it's that. Oh my God. So on that note, I'll post a few links in the comments here. If you want to reach out to either one of us and to ask about what we're doing and Danielle is doing a kids camp next summer. I mean, we got a lot of really good magical things happening. There's something for everybody here, no matter what your budget or your interest, we have something for everyone. So thanks for tuning in today on Fun Coaching Friday. We do this every Friday around the 1:00 hour. Next week, apparently, we're going to be doing some videos. We have some interesting videos. We're going to be, I guess, critiquing is the best word, gently, supportively and lovingly adding our insights to some things that we see and what's going on in the horse world. And it's kind of cool because I've been around for about 20 years with horses, and Daniela is a little newer on her journey. So to get those two different perspectives, it's going to be kind of cool. So tune in next week and every Friday. If you miss it, you can obviously follow us on our Instagram, all our social media channels at Artemis Hill and Jen Zoe Hall. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And remember to believe in yourself. It will change your life. Ciao, ciao.